Welcome back to the Room on Popular Opinions. Today I am determined to make this a gag because all the videos are like super in depth, like 50 minutes to an hour. I am determined, which nothing is wrong with that, by the way. I watch all the videos. I want to make it under 10. So let's go. How I annotate as someone who refuses to mark books. So let's start with the supplies. These are my main two like supply cases. I suppose we have like this little wooden box that isn't completely full. That is completely full, which is why I cannot shut. That I got, I think, for very cheap because like this one, these two pieces are missing. So I got it for like €1 or €2, but I really like the box. So that has my annotation supplies. And then we have this, which is like a small thing that has my tabs and like a few sticky notes. I usually like put my bookmark in here too and clear sticky notes when I am reading, but for now, let me just show you one by one. The box, this is what it looks like. We have many sticky notes, which looking at it right now, that looks a little bit insane, but we have like yellow clear sticky notes. We have normal clear sticky notes, which is primarily how I write in books since I will never write in my books. We have these that are like a little bit longer. These are almost entirely used up. By the way, this is what they look like. And I am getting like a new pack of different sized clear sticky notes because I want to be able to do that. I have like another pack of this size. And these are ordinary like light yellow sticky notes. I don't really use these because they have a very strong adhesive. And then we have all of my tabs. So we will do this very quickly. Like I used to only find like these thin tabs, which are my favorites, by the way. I love the thin tabs because you can specifically mark the quote in Italy. Like I bought them in Italy, like what, 7 years ago. I stocked up on so many because I thought I wouldn't be able to find them, but then they have them now in a store where I live. So that's great. This is just like a collection of colors because I want to use them up eventually. Then as far as the others go, these are like some ordinary ones, and this is what the full packs look like, by the way, the ones from Italy. These are the colors. I use up the pink ones very quickly. Obviously I will go through my system in a little bit. So those are the thin ones. These I don't really like, actually, because they obscure the text. You can't see through them, so I don't really use these. Then as far as the thick sticky notes go, I use primarily like the neon ones for everything. These are, and I will go through my system for more important quotes than just the thin ones, but I use the neon ones, which is very unpopular because I have a universal key. I never change my key no matter what book I read, and it is far more simple for me that way. I don't mind the colors. They are the easiest to find. And I just like knowing what every color means. Also, they are very different. Like, unlike these colors, which we will go through in a second, unlike these colors, these are very distinct and very different. So having a key that uses them is far more simple for me. Now, specifically for aesthetic purposes, when I annotate a nonfiction or philosophy book, which I don't read often, by the way, I use these, like these, what is it, desaturated ones, specifically because I don't have a key for nonfiction. I just have favorite passages. So I use these aesthetically. I go like from this color to this color, and I just use them like in order. So it looks good. I will show you later. I get many packs because I'm always afraid I'm going to run out. That is it as far as tabs go. Now let's get into the actual thing that I use. This is what it looks like when I am reading a specific book. I used to use these too, but as you can see, like I used up the pink. I almost used up the blue. So this is just convenient for me. Someone gave me this, by the way. Like it's an insurance thing or whatever. The sticky notes and like tabs. So I just use this to like pop everything in when I'm leaving the house or just to know where everything is. Now this is a little bit too thick of a pad, but in general, this is actually how I use it. I know it doesn't close right now, but you get the idea. Basically, I use like a thinner pad than this one. But basically, so that's what stores all the stuff, and I will use these up. Definitely. Then I have these two. These are like fresh ones right now, actually, because I want to annotate a specific book next month. So this is like the thin tabs pack that I use for marking quotes. And these are the thick ones that I use for extra special quotes, like that I really want to highlight. Those are like the 2 levels of highlighting. Then we have a pad of these. I don't know how my system will look when I get like the different sized ones, but for now I just have one of these on hand. And these are the pens that I use. We have this is what they are. Now, I don't really use this one because it has this kind of tip that's a little bit like clunky to use. So primarily I use this one. I specifically wanted a 0.5 and I specifically wanted it to be brown because I don't want it to be the color of the actual text, because I find that then it distracts from the text of the book. So this is what it looks like. This is how thin it is. It is just brown ink, and I will show you obviously how it looks, but this is the this is the system. Now let me show you how it works. These 2 books are examples of no key. So first, Letters from a Stoic, which is obviously a nonfiction, and it is philosophy. Now this is what the tabs look like. These are the desaturated tabs, which means that they mean nothing. Essentially, they mean nothing. These tabs mean absolutely nothing. Color-wise, I just like interchange them so that they are in order and I can use them up equally. I just mark a passage, and very simple, very easy to understand. The colors mean nothing, but it does look nice. I don't use this, as I said, for other books because the colors are a little bit too similar and I don't like using them for a key. And this one, Mrlja, this is an example of a book that I annotated, also just my favorite lines. It is extremely short. So what I used was just orange. And here you will already see how I used the different tabs. So the thin ones are for a specific line, whereas the thick orange ones are for like a paragraph or like something that I prefer, like this entire chunk I prefer, whereas the thin ones is like just this specific line. This is how I annotate things where they're either short. This is like a perfect example on one page. This is how I annotate things very, very simply for either short books or books where I just did not have like distinctions between tabs. So I just picked orange like to match with the cover. And here we have the thick tabs and we have the thin tabs. Next level, we have tabs with a key. These, I am still convinced, are the first books that I ever tabbed, and they are my most annotated, I mean, in terms of tabbing, most tabbed books that I own, which is why I haven't actually read from these copies since, because they're unreadable considering how much I tabbed them. So let me just very quickly show you, and then we will go through like the most tabbed one. This is what it looks like. It also uses the system of like thin and thick tabs. I've always used that just because I like how it organizes the entire thing, because the thick tabs show me like what my favorite moments are. So this is what Girl in the Tower looks like. It's getting worse. Believe me, it's getting worse. And this is Winter of the Witch. Which, yes, this is like this is just a mess. It sounds great, but it's a mess in terms of tabbing. I think this is my most tabbed book, which is again ironic a little bit because it's my least favorite book in the series. So let me just get into it. Okay, good example. Thick tab for like this entire paragraph or like scene that I loved. And then we have the thin tab, which is for this specific line. And it is like that, obviously, throughout. This is very annotated, so these are like specific sad lines, and this is like one big thing that I wanted to mark as being sad. So let me get into the actual key, because I feel like we sort of need to get through that for you to understand this. I should have done this in the beginning, but I do think the flip throughs like on their own are actually kind of fun. So my key is as follows. Obviously, the colors can mean whatever they mean for you. So here's the thing. Pink, both pink, it doesn't matter to me that they're the different color, is like things that I love. No distinction, just things that I love. Scenes that I love, quotes that I love, doesn't matter. This is why these always get like used up first. As you can see, this is very thin. Yellow is funny. anything that I find funny. Blue obviously is sad. That just sort of makes sense. And green is usually, since I mostly do this for fantasy, it's usually either world building or facts I want to remember, or like lore or history. That's basically like that kind of thing, all in one. Now purple doesn't have anything attached to it, by the way, and also I use the dark blue instead of the light blue because this specific color for some reason covers up the text the most, and I don't have anything for orange. So my key is actually very simple, and it works super well for me, at least, because I don't track stuff like themes or anything like that. So orange and purple are basically reserved as replacements for pink and yellow. So when I run out of yellow, and I will try and find an example of this, when I run out of yellow, I will use orange for funny stuff, and when I run out of pink, I will use purple for stuff that I love. That is why they don't always like look the same, but it is universal. Like having this universal key for the colors means that every book that I open, I know what it means. Like just because it's not pink, but it's suddenly purple, I know what that means. And because I ran out of yellow and I'm using orange, I know what that means. So that is my key. Let's continue with the examples. I will use this like as an example very quickly because I didn't used to do this, but I like put them on top. I never put like tabs on top, but here, for example, I just picked purple because again, I don't use purple for anything specific unless I run out of pink. So I used purple to like divide it into stories. I know the first one is like when the extra stuff ends, and I know the last one is for notes, so I know exactly where each story like starts and ends. This is a bit of a motivational thing, I think, for like thick books. I did this with Les Mis, which is the next thing that I'm going to be reading in May, just to feel better, you know, just to feel better. But I didn't used to do this, so like this is a new thing, and I didn't align them or anything, by the way. I just did this. Very simple. So I just wanted to like highlight that because that's a new thing that I'm doing. This is the hardcover. This is why it doesn't fit, but this is the first book where I actually employed the clear sticky note thing. God knows why, considering that I hated this book. But this is where I wanted to like, I think I wanted to just rant. I think that was the point. So let me very quickly, like, okay, here's an example. Here's an example. You can read that if you want. I like rereading my own comments because it's kind of funny usually. But here I didn't do anything like over the text or anything. I just used these like clear sticky notes at the ends of chapters, usually to rant about how much I hated the book. So let me find something else. I think it's actually less in the second half because I was hating it so much that I didn't even want to speak about it. So yeah, see, it's usually at the ends of chapters, but sometimes I think I actually did it in ends of chapters. Yes. Yeah. Is it covering up the text a little bit? Yes. I usually did it at the ends of chapters, and I did not do it in the middle. So like there's no sticky note here and comments in the margins, which I did do in my newer. You can see here is where I had normal sticky notes, but then I graduated into clear sticky notes. And I think near the ending, I used them like to write up a review. I think, yeah, very, very large review. So this is like the beginning of my clear sticky note journey. And you can see like what the brown fine liner looks like. I like that it's like fainter than the text, and I like the brown color, and I like the thickness. Also, it dries fairly quickly. Like immediately after we've written on this, it's dry. So it's a great combination in terms of materials. The gag didn't work, did it? This video is already over 10 minutes long. Let's ignore it and just hurry it up. So this is like the latest book that I annotated. This is like an example of where I didn't use the thin sticky notes. As you can see, like it's just the thick ones. There isn't a particular reason for that. I think it's just because I didn't think I'd have that much to like mark, so I just used the thick ones. Or I ran out of the thin ones. I genuinely can't remember. But I think I didn't feel like digging out the thin ones, and I didn't think I'd have that much like to annotate. So this is an excellent example. So the key is still the same. And this is where I am actually using the clear sticky notes as they're meant to be used, like writing in the margins, writing in spaces. This is where I am like underlining. I'm writing the I'm putting little hearts. I'm actually writing comments. This is like, I think, like the final boss of what I am actually going to do, because I will never write in my actual book. So this is like a good example of that. But I do have like a better final boss where I actually used both thin and thick sticky notes. So that I will show you as, tabs, that I will show you as like the prime example of what my system actually is. We've made it. This is the final boss, the Gormenghast trilogy. This is a beat up copy, by the way, that I got used. So like spine broken. It's from the 90s, like from someone's basement. It's very old and scuffed and like almost brownish. I love this copy, by the way, but this is like the final boss of this system. I used thin sticky notes, thick sticky notes, and clear tabs as they're meant to be used. So like this is this is actually what my system looks like. So I'm going to try and show you like a specific page. Let me see. It is eluding me. So here, I stuck it in here to like right at the end of the chapter. I'm going to try and find a page where it's like both a thin and a thick one. Here we are. So the thin one means I liked the quote, and the thick one means probably that I liked this entire paragraph or like this specific description. I just stuck them in anywhere, basically, like to write here, like to write in margins, to underline. I do know that I did underline, by the way, so I'm going to try and find an example of that. This is an excellent example, by the way. Like, this is a picture of Gertrude Groen, who's my favorite character, by the way. But this is an excellent example. So we have thick sticky note, thin sticky note, and we have like it stuck over the page. So I have like a comment here. I have circled something. I've done hearts. I've put like a comment in the, what is it called? The footer of the page. This is like genuinely, I think, what my system is going to look like, and I quite like it. It will only get upgraded by me having different sized sticky notes. So for example, here I could have like used a big one over this entire page to like do whatever I wanted to the text, but this is actually like the final boss of my system. Not too complicated, very like beginner friendly, because you can copy my key, you can do what you want with the colors, but not too many things to keep track of, but still very useful for going back to the book. You can write in the book, but without marking it, you can remove this if you need to at any time for some reason. And there's also extra distinction between thin tabs and thick tabs, which I've never seen anyone use, which is kind of unusual. No one uses like these thin tabs, but I find it very useful for marking a specific quote, and these for like a specific paragraph or scene. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hoped it was like enjoyable, informative, or whatever, because I feel like everyone who does these videos does write in their books. Like at least I personally haven't found a video yet with people who have like a very worked through system without marking the books. So I do hope that it was useful to someone, at least. I will see you in the next video.